Good morning. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. Yawn, it's a holiday weekend. Just kidding.
Were you surprised by how many cars were on the road this morning?
Yeah, well,
I know most people don't have a holiday, but I thought it would be lighter than normal, and it was not.
It was not. No, it was not. So if you work for the post office, if you work for, I don't even know if the banks are open. I don't know. And school districts are closed, but the like the universities and the colleges, I don't think they are.
Yeah.
So, it's hit or miss whether people are closed today. It's Lincoln's birthday. It's celebrating Lincoln's birthday.
Yes.
And, of course, the public schools are closed today.
Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president of the United States.
Abraham Lincoln?
Abraham. He's the sexiest president.
The sexiest, gauntest, longest, leanest president that ever was.
Yes.
So, so you went to... You should give a shout out to what you did on Saturday.
Yeah, so I ended up going to the Lincoln Shrine in Redlands, where they have their annual Lincoln Day event on Saturday, and it was fabulous. Now it rained a little bit earlier in the day, and so it was some spots in the grass were a little muddy, but they did a really nice job of putting on a great historical event that they do every year. I think this was the 47th or 48th one that they've done, and the girls loved it. We have two girls with us from Mali, Africa, and I think they thought it was really cool. And
they were dressed up. They looked really pretty in those pictures.
They did.
They looked really pretty in those pictures.
And and of course they've got all these historical reenactors, so they got their picture with Abraham Lincoln, and there were speeches. Of course, there's always speeches at things like this. And then the museum itself is fantastic. We did not, however, get in to see the new animatronic display that they have, the Living Lincoln. Because the line was too long and the show takes a bit. So I want to go back.
Is it going to stay there so you can go back another time and see it?
It's there through May, I want to say.
Okay, so you do have time.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm just excited about that. But it was great. We got to hear the cannon get shot, and that was so loud. The people who live in the neighborhood must have been like, what the heck's going on over there?
Oh, they probably knew.
I know.
They probably knew. It's a big tradition. They do this every year.
Yeah.
And as far as historical reenactments go, this was our tribute.
But people who generally live in residential neighborhoods aren't used to hearing cannon fire.
People who live in all neighborhoods that are not a war zone not a war zone in 1865 are not used to cannon fire.
Yes, and they mentioned that they only used a quarter charge, and I'm thinking, well, if you used a full charge, how much louder would it be? It was pretty intense.
Yeah.
It was good, though. We had a great time.
Well, that's awesome. So, excuse me, I have a little frog in my throat this morning. You told me a story, I think on Friday, that just made me laugh. They opened a new IKEA in New Zealand, and somebody thought it would be a good idea to put a big map of the world up, except the map was missing something.
What was it missing, Erin?
New Zealand.
And nobody caught it.
No.
I mean, it'd be one thing if they were getting the store ready for opening, and one of the people who's assembling it looks at the map and goes, wait. But no, that's not what happened.
So...
what happened.
No, usually when you buy something from IKEA, it's necessary to assemble all the parts. Actually, I've seen a meme going around that shows all the little Scrabble tiles, and it says, I bought a book from IKEA.
Yes.
Because it was just a pile of letters. Anyway, it was funny. But a world map should really come pre-assembled with all of the countries included. At least that's the feeling of New Zealanders, who are a bit miffed at a map from the retailer's Bjorksta series that left out their island nation altogether. The BBC notes that a Reddit user first pointed out an incomplete map, apparently purchased at a Washington, D.C. area IKEA. And what's the deal with IKEA with forgetting an entire country off the world maps you are selling? New Zealand exists. The BBC and Herald note that this odd omission, and not just via IKEA, seems to be a recurring issue for New Zealand that's been addressed by the country's Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, the subreddit where the particular instance was flagged, was called Maps Without New Zealand. And IKEA has acknowledged the mistake. And they have an IKEA in New Zealand.
Yes.
We can see that the process has failed regarding the product Bjorksta world map. We regret this mistake and apologize. It says the map will be phased out from all IKEA locations where it's sold, meaning they're going to sell them all.
Yes.
And though it appeared on IKEA's website as of Monday morning.
It's funny.
It's hilarious,
Right.
except if you're from New Zealand.
What you got to do if you're from New Zealand is you got to get like a New Zealand shaped stamp, and then go and stamp all the maps, right? Stamp your little islands
But
on
it's
there.
not going to be right. You're going to have to put it right next to right next to Australia.
Yes.
You know, oops.
Oopsie. You know how they can get themselves on a map?
How's that?
Start a war.
No. New Zealand is a wonderful, beautiful place. Do not start a war.
Well, isn't that where they had that big war with those hobbits and the other guys?
Yes.
Yes.
The tricksters, the false,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
with my precious
Yes, Aaron. Yes.
Middle Earth.
That's the kind of war that'll get you onto a map.
But didn't Peter Jackson already do that?
Yeah, I know. And they're still not on the map.
IKEA. Anyway, I just thought that was hysterical.
Yeah, we were laughing. We were chuckling a little bit over that one.
Well, because the article that you read said that they were actually selling that stupid map in New Zealand,
Yes.
and so it was like you couldn't. Nobody caught that.
Yes. I know. It's really ridiculous. So, we've been following the story in Virginia, and I got to give a little update here because the New York Times has done an article that is, well, it's making me feel a little nauseous, because they're a lefty news outlet, and I feel like they're sort of trying to cover for the governor a little bit here. They've done some in-depth reporting, Aaron, going back to his childhood to figure out just how all this stuff happened. How can such
Are you kidding?
Yeah. So apparently he grew up as Virginia was being desegregated, and his parents chose to keep him in public school. And his public school, his high school that he went from, his senior class was almost evenly divided between black and white. And he played on the basketball team. He was one of two white kids on the basketball team. And so because he was in this racially mixed school, and because he played basketball, it's shocking that he didn't learn the lessons of race. And they've interviewed folks from his childhood hometown are saying, that they're treating him so unfair, and that he's just a good kid, and right. I know. Erin's shaking her head, folks.
Yeah, I mean it's radio, you can't see me, but
Yeah.
I'm just that is such a non-answer. That is such a he did it. The only thing he can do is say, I don't know what the heck I was thinking. It's not how I've lived my adult life. I am so sorry. He wasn't 15 when he did it. He was 26.
Yes.
And like we talked about before, it wasn't. Yes, it's bad that he did it, but his mea culpa. Yeah, I did it. No, I didn't. It's probably not me.
Well,
And
over the weekend, he gave an interview where he referred to slavery as enslaved people as indentured servants. So he still is just completely tone deaf on this issue. But I got to read this one part from the New York Times article because I think it captures the spirit of it. It says, Mr. Northam, 59, came of age in Virginia in the 60s and 70s when it hardly would have been shocking to see white people darken their faces for costumes. Several people who knew him said. He lived in a place where students could attend movies and eat together across racial lines, but did not openly date outside their race. So, in other words, the racism was just more subtle.
it wasn't subtle at all.
Yeah,
Give me a break.
I know. I look at this New York Times article as a whitewash, right? It really is. It's an attempt to sort of dismiss what he said and done as
Yes.
Yeah.
Either behavior is bad or it's not. It's not bad if it's a Republican and fine if it's a Democrat.
Yeah.
If a Republican, if he were a Republican governor, he would be eviscerated in the press, eviscerated. And it would be nonstop, wall-to-wall coverage about how evil and racist this man is.
Yeah.
And you know that's true.
Oh, I do. Which is what makes this just so problematic, that here they are sort of looking for ways to sort of forgive him. And I think it's in part because the lieutenant governor, who everyone thought was going to just be this nice, easy, clean transition, right?
No.
You know, we push out this white racist and replace him with this telegenic, smart, nice African American lieutenant governor. Won't this be a great thing for the Democratic Party? Well, now he's imploding with two sexual assault claims against him. And I was going to say sexual harassment, but no, their claims are much more serious than that.
Yeah, they're much more serious than that.
And so, you know, now if you're a betting man, you're going to say, well, it's probably more likely that the African American lieutenant governor is more likely to lose office than the governor, and they certainly don't want them both going, and so they're trying to.
Because the third in line is a Republican.
Yeah, so they're doing everything they can to try to salvage this guy.
So New York Times and all the rest of the mainstream media, it's not your job to pick winners and losers. It's not your job. Your job is to report the news. And on the editorial page, go nuts. Do what you do. But when straight news is straight news, and I really wish you'd knock it off. I really do. You want to know why nobody trusts you? This is why nobody trusts you. And I compare this to the kids who were from the high school in Kentucky, the Catholic high school in Kentucky, and how they were the one 17 or 16-year-old kid who was eviscerated because of his, and yes, that's my word of the morning, he was eviscerated because he looked smug, so he deserves to be doxxed and have death threats and all of these things because he had it coming to him because his parents are wealthy. Yeah. Which I have heard so many times it's not even funny. So it's okay with a smug look on his face when he was clearly uncomfortable that this grown man was banging a drum and singing in his face.
Yeah.
That's okay. The grown man can say whatever he wants and do whatever he wants because this kid was white and wealthy. Okay, and then you turn over to the governor who was actually being racist. You don't get to dress in blackface and wear a hood and a robe because we don't know which one is him. And have it be okay. So let's just compare those two things.
Yeah.
And this governor was in medical school when it happened. He wasn't 17 or 16. No. He was 26.
I know. It's really shocking.
Let's take a break. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA. We'll be right back.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-327-1660. That's 800-327-1660. Again, 800-327-1660.
Guardian Tax Service says that blood cannot be manufactured in a laboratory. Healthy human donors are needed year-round so that hospitals never experience critical shortages. Since blood can't be stored for long periods of time, 2 or 3 yearly visits to a hospital or nearby blood center can actually save the life of a child accident victim or surgery patient. This reminder from Guardian Tax Service, maintaining quality tax preparation at affordable prices for a wide variety of tax-related services to meet your needs. Trust Karen's 13 years of experience and call 909-475-8297 or visit GuardianTaxes.com. That's Guardian Tax Service, on the air because they care.
How would you feel if you had to make a choice between buying food or spending your fixed income on life-saving medicine? No one should make that trade-off, but many low-income seniors are forced into difficult decisions like this every day. Smiles for Seniors Foundation provides energy assistance and safety net services to struggling low-income seniors in the Inland Empire. They provide one-time assistance to seniors to meet specific financial needs. They've helped with food, housing, utility payments, minor home and auto repairs, along with life-saving prescriptions or medical equipment. a nonprofit foundation funded entirely by donations from local organizations. Smiles for Seniors receives no funding from the state or federal government. They are funded by local businesses and individuals like you with big hearts and willing wallets. You can find more information or to donate to Smile for Seniors at 909-790-6671. That's 909-790-6671, or visit smilesforseniorsfoundation.org. That's smilesforseniorsfoundation.org.
Hi folks, if you're still paying for electricity every month, it means you haven't signed up for the Inland Empire's #1 money savings program offered by Horizon Solar Power. Just call to qualify your home and Horizon will give you $100 plus pay your electric bill until 2020. It's that simple. Call, qualify, get $100 and no electric bill payments until 2020. So keep your money in your pocket and become energy independent today. Call 844-711-6996. That's 844-711-6996. Or click on one of our Stay Cool ads at kcaaradio.com. If you're looking for a full or part-time sales position and you have radio, TV, or print media experience, KCAA has a great opportunity waiting for you that pays the highest commissions in the market. KCAA is the only station in the IE that broadcasts on 3 frequencies, so advertisers receive 3 ads for 1 low rate. This makes KCAA a must-buy for every local business. If you're interested in a sales position with us, email CEO@kcaaradio.com.
We can't be everything to everyone, or can we? The station that leaves no listener behind, KCAA.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin
And
Brinker.
we are on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. This song has kind of a Revenge of the Nerds feel.
It does, doesn't it? The competition at the end.
Yes.
With the
Where they dress like Devo.
Yes. Yes. Love that movie. Totally inappropriate. Love that movie.
Totally inappropriate. So, we have talked a lot about the sexual abuse scandals from the Catholic Church. And it turns out the Houston Chronicle has broken a huge story about the Southern Baptist Church, and which is another large organization. 2 Texas newspapers are out with an investigation into the Southern Baptist Church that reveals a long pattern of sexual abuse by church leaders, workers, and volunteers. And this is from the Houston Chronicle and the San Antonio Express News. They found that, are you ready? 380 people, everyone from ministers to youth pastors to Sunday school teachers to church volunteers, have been accused of sexual misconduct since 1998. About 200 were convicted or accepted plea deals. Now, that's at least they were turned in.
Yeah.
Accepted plea deals, with many cases still pending. Almost 100 are in prison, and a large number are now registered sex offenders. And the most jarring paragraph, you ready for this? Mm-hmm. They left behind more than 700 victims, many of them shunned by their churches, left to themselves to rebuild their lives. Some were urged to forgive their abusers or to get abortions.
Yeah. Now, the story actually begins with the story of a single woman who was abused. And she actually, years later, organized a group, and they went and spoke to the Southern Baptist Convention leaders back in 2008. With a series of proposed reforms to protect children within the church, and the church leadership essentially voted them all down. And since that time, 10 years ago, there have been another 250 abuse charges against Southern Baptist churches. So this is, this is not that they knew there was a problem and they've done nothing. And I think that the way that they're sort of handling it now even speaks volumes to sort of the weakness of their system, which is to say, well, each of these churches is independent, and we as a governing body really don't have the authority to do anything to them.
But they could certainly, Yes, they are independent because each church is its own organization, but they could certainly put out a no-tolerance statement. They could certainly train their pastors. They could certainly have hotlines available. They could certainly do things to help their members.
They could demand that if you want to be a certified Southern Baptist church, that you have to go through a fingerprinting background check process.
Right, which is anything that anybody else who works with children in this country has to do that.
Yeah.
So top church leaders are promising reform. Yeah, a little bit too late. Yeah, it's nothing short of a scandal and a crisis. This is according to the Southern Baptist Convention leader, Russell Moore. There should be no tolerance for or covering up of sexual abuse of the vulnerable ever, especially within the Church of Jesus Christ. The first part of a 3-part investigation includes interviews with victims, including a woman who says she was sexually abused by her pastor near Dallas for years, beginning at age 14. Years later, as an adult, Debbie Vasquez traveled to the church's annual convention to make that formal plea for reforms, which is what you were talking about, and that was in 2008, and nearly all of the proposed reforms were rejected.
Yep.
They actually, on the Houston Chronicle's website, they interviewed one of these pastors who's now in jail, and he doesn't think he did anything wrong.
Yeah. No, they don't. A lot of these guys will say that these children seduce them.
Yeah, the children seduced, or the teenager.
Yeah.
Which they're children. We've had this conversation.
Yeah.
That the children seduce them. It's like, no, they didn't. They didn't understand what they were doing.
So let me give you one of the stories here. Heather Schneider was 14 when she was molested in a choir room at Houston's Second Baptist Church, according to criminal and civil court records. Her mother, Gwen Casados, said church leaders waited months to fire the attacker, who later pleaded no contest. In response to her lawsuit, church leaders also denied responsibility. Schneider slit her wrist the day after the attack in 1994, Casado said. She survived, but died 14 years later from a drug overdose that her mother blames on the trauma. I never got her back, Casado said.
Yeah, no, it's a forever scar.
Yeah.
And these guys think it's just sex, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
No, it is a very big deal, you monster.
Yeah.
And you're doing this under the color of having authority from God. That makes you evil to the core.
So I went to high school with a girl that was, I'll just say it, she was molested by the band director, who was eventually caught and imprisoned. But a few years after high school, she committed suicide. And everyone who knew her knows that it was a direct result of what happened to her. That he targeted her, groomed her, and essentially raped her, and she never recovered.
So it is incumbent. The structure of the church, the doesn't matter, folks.
Yeah.
And I'm emotional, so let me have this come out. It doesn't matter the structure. You shouldn't protect a pedophile because you're worried about the church body, the church structure.
Yeah.
Because the only way to protect that church is to get that pedophile out and prosecuted. Because crises happen in any organization.
Yep.
They do. So how you manage that process and how you manage the people who are responsible for it makes all the difference in the world. Now, how are people supposed to trust the Southern Baptist Church anymore?
Yeah.
And you have then shown the world once again that church people are hypocrites, and that is not the message of the Bible at all.
Yeah.
And it's you people who kept these people in, and I'm a Baptist, for crying out loud. You people who kept these pedophiles in place, it's your fault that the people don't trust the church.
Yeah.
Period.
And what what these newspapers have done is what the church should have done, is they should have been the ones to gather all this information.
Yes.
And be tracking this and
put the systems in place to help the poor people who are trusting you to do right by God, for crying out loud.
Because I guarantee you that what was going on before this was that they weren't hearing about every case, and they used that as part of their way to absolve themselves.
Yes.
Right? Because the churches are like,
it's just one,
said,
it's just onesie twosie.
Yeah, I heard a story about one over here. They didn't hear the stories about all the other ones, and so they don't think that it's this big systemic issue. But when you have somebody who goes out and collects all this data and puts it in front of you and says, "Look at it," now it's undeniable. Now they have to take issue, and the fact is they should have been the ones gathering that data.
Indeed. So with that, it's time for a break. I'm Erin Brinker,
and I'm Tobin Brinker,
and we'll be right back.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, K292FQ Riverside, and K293CF Moreno Valley.
California headline news. At least 10 people hospitalized after an apparently drunk driver plowed into a crowd outside restaurants and bars in downtown Fullerton. A pickup truck driving onto a sidewalk, hitting 9 pedestrians before hitting a tree.
Our officers then immediately began life-saving measures on those victims, 9 of which were transported to local trauma centers with injuries ranging from moderate to life-threatening.
Fullerton PD Lieutenant John Radis, multiple victims trapped underneath the truck, Good Samaritans helping to pull them out. Grammy Awards handed out in Los Angeles. Country star Casey Musgraves wins Album of the Year.
Life is pretty tumultuous right now for all of us. I feel like it can feel that way. And I feel like because of that, art is really thriving, and it's been really beautiful to see that.
Rapper Childish Gambino winning Song and Record of the Year. Ice and snow trapping motorists overnight on the 5 freeway in the Grapevine area in Southern California. The freeway just reopened. Jeff Scott, California News.
A good night's sleep starts with the right pillow. That's where MyPillow comes in, and we're excited to announce the new 4-pack special. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the 4-pack special tab, and save 50% off the 4-pack, which includes 2 MyPillow premiums and 2 Go Anywhere pillows. Use promo code SKY at checkout or call 1-800-635-1825. That's 1-800-635-1825. Or go to MyPillow.com, click the 4-pack special tab, and use promo code SKY at checkout.
The big game turned out to be a big yawn. Some fun facts about it make up your Geico Sports Now.
It's this week's Geico Sports Now.
It was the lowest scoring pro football finale in 53 tries. Not a football fan? Just watch for the fun commercials each year. The folks who keep track tell us that nearly a third of the U.S. had eyeballs on at least part of the game, making all the advertisers very happy. Talk about getting your message out. Go to Geico.com and you could save as much as 15% on your auto insurance in as little as 15 minutes.
California headline news. 2 teenage girls are behind bars after allegedly killing a man in Yucaipa. The sheriff's office announcing over the weekend they found a man dead in a home along Avenue E while investigating a 14-year-old runaway. A 15-year-old was missing from that home, and hours later, Arizona police detained the 2 girls after they apparently crashed into a gas station pump. They were later transported back to San Bernardino County, booked on suspicion of murder. A motive was not immediately known. California News, I'm Jeff Scott.
It's time to check our roadways. I'm Erin Brinker. In Corona on the 15 northbound before Indian Truck Trail, an injury crash is blocking the left lane. Stop-and-go traffic is backed up from Lake Street. In San Bernardino on the 215 southbound at 3rd, a stalled big rig is partially blocking the right lane and the off-ramp. And in our San Bernardino mountains, the chains are required. This is Highway 330 between Lower Passing Land and Lower Passing Lane. It says land, but it's really lane. Lane. And the Upper Passing Lane between Middle Passing Lane and Highway 18. Chain or traction devices are required on all vehicles except 4-wheel and all-wheel drive vehicles with snow tread tires on all 4 tires. This has been your traffic report. Drive carefully, everyone. I'm Erin Brinker, and this is KCAA.
From the KCAA Weather Center, I'm Alvin Washington. Sunny this morning, high 58. Clear this evening, low of 40. Sunshine, warmer Tuesday, high 64. Could see rain Tuesday night, low 46. Rain likely Wednesday. I'm Alvin Washington, broadcasting live from the Tri-City Center at the 10 and 210 freeways. We are the trifecta of talk in Southern California, KCAA. 102.3 FM Riverside, 106.5 FM Redlands, and the Legacy 1050 AM Loma Linda, San Bernardino.
Broadcasting more local radio programs than any other station in California, we are KCAA.
Pump it up while your feet are stumping and the jam is pumping. Look ahead, the crowd is jumping. Pump it up a little more, get the party going on the dance floor. See, cause that's where the party's at, and you find out if you do that. A place to stay. Get your booty on the floor tonight, make my day. A place to stay.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. I am so excited to welcome an alumni back from to our show, Patty Cotton. She's an executive coach who has been working with some incredible, Fortune 500 brands and others to improve systems in leadership and in the way you do business. She helps you break through. If you're kind of stuck, she helps you break through to the next level, to use that phrase. And she's pretty amazing. So welcome to the show, Patty Cotton.
Wow, Erin, I'm coming back every day. Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be with you and Tobin this morning. You guys rock.
So, well, yes, you do too. So, one of the things that there's a lot of books. There's so many books on leadership out there, tons of them. And some of them you read them and you think, okay, I can relate to this. And others you think, that's not me at all. I got to be me. And which comes down to there's different personality types and different leadership types. How do you kind of figure out who you are and then how to lead in your way?
Oh, boy, what a fabulous question. I'm so glad you're asking this particular question because a lot of people talk about the different leadership styles and when you should use them and so forth, and it feels like one big program overlay, like which hat should I wear right now? And that's really, really difficult, and it doesn't work very well. So leadership really, the rubber meets the road when you are yourself, when you are authentic. And a lot of people for a lot of years felt that only certain personality types could be leaders, that others could not. For example, if you weren't an ENTJ with the Myers-Briggs, then you would never lead and that sort of thing. But honestly, if you look back at all the presidents, I was back at, the Gallup poll.
Yes.
In the Gallup Corporation. So I'm certified in Strengths Finder and a bunch of other stuff. So I was back there with people in Gallup. In Washington, D.C., and you walk around the halls and you look up and there are portraits of every president that we've ever had. And underneath it lists their 5 top strengths. And not a one of them has the same blend of strengths.
Really?
Which tells you that, guess what? You can lead from where you are. So how do you do that? Because if you can lead, if every single one of these people led the nation and not a one of them had the same blend of strengths, so what's the secret sauce? So secret sauce is first to be authentic and to know your gifts. You have to know your gifts and you know how to use them. A lot of people know their strengths. A lot of people can rattle off their strengths all day long, but they're not really, they don't really know how to use them. So when you learn how to manage them and use them, the next thing to do is to know how to manage your authenticity, because a lot of people have issues of either confidence. Will I still be valued if I show up as myself? Will I still be safe? Will I be rejected? And so forth. So even the top leaders go through this. They go through these mountains and hills and valleys of confidence. And so learning to show up as yourself and use those with focus is really, really important. So I'm going to pause here because I'm rattling off a lot.
Well, and I'm kind of processing, because part of leadership is connecting with the people that you're supposed to be leading, and not every personality connects. And so you not only have to know yourself, but you have to understand where your employees are coming from or your team is coming from, which is another layer. And
that is.
There's Enneagrams, there's Myers-Briggs, there's all of these strengths assessments. Do you recommend that kind of work as a team to help people be productive?
Any one of those is fun to kick off conversations. And what you're hitting is the gold. The gold underneath is, yes, you first have to know what you bring to the table, but then you have to know and recognize what others bring to the table. And that's where some fun team building can begin. So you can use just about anything, the Enneagram, MBTI, a whole host of StrengthsFinder, a whole host of things. What you want to do at the bottom of it is to get to know each other and what you bring to the table. And then it's a matter of learning how to work with the different styles. Human connection is at the bottom, and building trust, saying what you bring is valuable, what I bring is valuable. We have these different roles we need to play. How should we play together? That's where it comes together. Yeah, absolutely.
So what is the first step? Say you're with an organization, you've entered an organization where things are pretty dysfunctional. There's a lot of mistrust going on. This team has been burned by that team or whatever. And you're coming in as a new leader or trying to bring in a new kind of to flip that so that you can get rid of that. How would you approach the situation?
Ooh, I'll tell you how I did do it. I actually did this once in my career. I came into a very dysfunctional institution, organization, huge organization, and we were given some impossible goals, and I knew that unless we did something that we'd be sucked into one or the other silo or something. So what we did was I think we used the Strengths Finder. I'm trying to remember. Actually, what we did was we visited our mission, vision, and values, and we talked about the different strengths that we brought to the table. Then what we did, and here's whatever you use to discover what do you bring, what do I bring, what do we bring, the next step is to charter together how you're going to operate. Because just because you recognize each other's strengths doesn't mean, okay, I'm locked into your style, you're locked into mine, so let's go. How shall we operate? And so when I do work with companies now, I will have them put together a team charter, or how will we play and work together? How do we deal with conflict? How do we deal with communication? All these things so that it builds trust, remembering to respect the styles of each other as we work together in the contribution. Does that make sense?
It does, but it requires that everyone buy in. Have you worked in, I'm as I'm walking down this mental path. If you're in a dysfunctional team, you might have a gossip. Which, to me, if somebody's gossiping and sowing discord, that person needs to go.
Right. Good point. So let's point something out here. Interesting enough, we will focus on the aberrant behaviors of one or two team members. And yes, there are some toxic things that go on. But if you punt back and say, what are the norms that we want this team to form? What is the operating charter? No gossiping. Instead, it's going to be direct talk. Know this. Instead, it's going to be this. So if you outline that, then you've outlined expectations, and then you can hold people accountable. And some people will invite themselves out. So whether you have a conversation with them or not, they will invite themselves out. So I think it's very, very important to come together and say, how shall we operate, and this is what we do want and we don't want. You basically, when you get the buy-in, if somebody says, hey, I'm not going there, well, that's a conversation right there. But if they give lip service to it, even if they don't believe it, then they've said yes, and you've got to treat them as an adult and say, hey, this is what you said, and this is what's not happening. Let's have another conversation.
Now, have you seen transformations in organizations where you've done this kind of work? And, what has it done to their productivity?
Sure. So I do it a lot. I'll cite a company in Texas I'm working with right now. And we just went through this. And there's another one up in the high desert. Which one shall I use? Texas. Well, yes. Actually, when we were facilitating the charter, it got pretty emotional because there were some old elephants in the room, and I don't mean the people. I mean there were some unspoken conversations. I could.
Gosh, Patty, that's
really
kind of harsh.
That's pretty harsh, isn't it? Yeah. I love it. Old elephants and old tigers, right? There's some unspoken heavy conversations in the room that needed to be had and so forth. So when we shaped this, you can read the room, and, what we did was facilitate the conversations to the surface, and it got pretty emotional, and at the same time, it got pretty exciting because people were apologizing, asking forgiveness. There was a team of 10, and it's a multi-million-dollar corporation, but at the top, they weren't working well, and so their productivity was down. I can tell you that it's on the rise. It's too soon to measure it yet, but I will tell you this. When you have poor communications and conflict, it accounts for about 87% of your productivity loss in any organization.
87%?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, my goodness.
87%. Just the communications and the conflict alone. So if you get that together, you're just about home free with anything else. Yeah.
Wow. Well, and of course, the executive, the CEO and the CEO's executive team sets the culture and the tone for the entire organization.
And that is true.
So if there's conflict in the boardroom, it's going to permeate the organization.
Well, and what they had done was to call me in and say, can you coach a couple of people at the top and then coach middle management and so forth? And they said, not really. After hearing you, I need to coach your executive team, and then you can turn around and coach your management. And that's exactly what happened, because if they're not together, then nobody is. So when you have somebody who says, hey, I need you to coach this problem person, a lot of times I'll find that the problem is at the top, not the person over on the side. So you have to have those norms, those team norms together, because when you have any social interaction whatsoever, you're going to have emotion, whether it's good or bad. The minute you say hello to somebody in the morning, you're going to have some emotion. So you have to You have to get those game rules down so that people know how to play together, and then it's a matter of holding them accountable.
Wow, and it takes some pretty fearless inventory taking to get there.
It does. And so the most courageous teams are the ones that are heading into the future. I find that when companies ask me to do this kind of work, they're not afraid because they want to be sustainable. The ones who are holding on to the old stuff are not going to go anywhere, and you can already see them slipping off, off on the side.
So
we can already measure that.
This is your interview time has just flown by. Such a great conversation. How do people find out more about who you are and the work that you do? And are you on social media?
I am. You can just go to pattycotton.com, PATTICOTTON.com, and there's a bunch of goodies there. You can see what I do and some of the people I work with. Yes, absolutely.
Well, Patty Cotton, it's always a delight to have you on the air. I'm so glad that you were able to join us today.
Erin, it's a privilege and pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
So it's time for a break. I'm Erin Brinker.
I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA. We'll be right back.
The Snow Country Ski Report is sponsored by Indeed. Used by over 3 million businesses for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire.
It's a powder day for Mountain High. Another 3 to 5 inches of new snow in the last 24 hours. And the steeps are going to be so much fun. They've been left ungroomed, so take advantage of the fresh snow on both east and west resorts at Mountain High. Snow Summit and Bear Mountain both reporting powder and pack powder over a foot of snow in the last 4 days. At Bear Valley, all 1,600 acres of terrain open. Live music coming up on Saturday. Sunrise Park in Arizona skiing 65 runs. Powder conditions after 2 feet of snow last week. The Arizona Snow Bowl, another 7 inches of new snow on the groom, 48 trails with powder and pack powder. Cresty Butte in Colorado reporting 114 runs. So far, 3 inches of fresh, but more coming this week. Details are at snowcountry.com. I'm Jan Elliott on the Trifecta of Talk. 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM, the stations that leave no listener behind.
The Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands is serving up some really cool ice cream at La Micho Acana. Then get your chocolates and other delights from C's Candies. Moms and future moms who visit the mall can cool off and relax while they get treated like royalty at Shiny Nails or Francis Nails and then pampered at Texture Hair. The Tri-City Center is filled with retailers who care about you. Shop at the Tri-City Center in Redlands and see why they call it the mall with a heart.
Terry's Diner in the Tri-City Shopping Center has a great idea for you. Terry knows you want a special spot for a special dinner on Valentine's Day. You know, like prime rib dinner with all of the trimmings, including warm sourdough dinner bread, plus a selection of special warm romantic desserts like brownie sundaes or maybe their cheesecake. It's all part of a special sweetheart deal for you and your sweetheart. Newly remodeled Terry's Diner will have the atmosphere you want when your eyes meet and your coffee gets refilled. Terry's is easy to find. It's right along Industrial Park Avenue between Tennessee and Alabama in Redlands and the Tri-City Shopping Center. I mean, could there be a sweeter town in the Inland Empire than Redlands for the two of you? Remember, Valentine's Day is not the same as Christmas or Super Bowl Sunday. It's quiet and intimate. Don't think of it as a loud celebration. Think of it as a special moment, and think of it at Terry's Diners, 1350 Industrial Park Avenue. That's 1350 Industrial Park Avenue at the Tri-City Shopping Center. Valentine's Day in the heart of Redlands at Terry's Diner.
KCAA.
It's too hard to sleep. I got the sheets on the floor, nothing on me. And I can't take it no more, it's 100 degrees. I got 1 foot out the door, where are my keys?
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. So great to have Patty back. She has been so busy out there, traveling all over the country and working with these great companies. And, she was able to join us this morning, and hopefully that will continue to be a regular thing. And because that was a great segment.
Yeah, it was.
So the San Bernardino City Council meeting had some drama last week, and I think we touched on it. But they are going to be reconvening today to try to finish this halted meeting.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how they actually do this. The 3 members that walked out of the meeting last week have said that they want the mayor, if he's going to reconvene the meeting, to arrange the agenda so that all of the other business can be taken care of first, and leave his item for the last. That way, if they feel the need to walk out again, the city's business will at least have been taken care of. I have a suspicion, though, that the mayor may put his item up front, because I think he sees this as a way to get political leverage by saying that they're stopping the city from taking action on important stuff.
Yeah, but they're not. I mean, and I hope. Well, his supporters are going to support him no matter what. But if they've said no, we don't want to do this. Honestly, they should just vote no. Oh, they don't have the vote, so they're just trying to keep him from getting a quorum.
Yeah, if they vote no, then the mayor will be the tie-breaking vote, and he'll get what he wants, which is his staffing.
And so he wants 6 additional staff members.
He's changed the number a little bit. I think it's come down from 6, but the key sticking point is that he wants his chief of staff to be the person who is the person who directs all these new staff. So.
But that's not the form of government that we have anymore.
Yeah, the idea was that this was going to be shared staff people between the mayor and the city council's office, which is what the compromise had been. But the mayor wants his chief of staff to be the person who is directing them. And these 3 council people are concerned about that because they feel like then they'll have staffers that aren't really working for them. They're working for the mayor.
So here's the thing. The city council is not employed by the mayor. The city council does not work for the mayor.
Yeah,
they're each as an individual is an elected official in their own right. The mayor is not their boss.
Yeah,
and so this is where this comes down to. If you have a staff member who's supposed to be working for you, being directed by somebody who you do not report to, who may not have your same agenda in mind, then that's a problem. I don't blame them for getting up.
Yeah, I don't either. So again, it'll be fascinating to see what actually happens tonight. And I haven't seen the actual agenda and what order the items are. But I guarantee you that if the mayor's item is up front, then it's probably going to make them walk out again. Now, they may make a motion to table it, but I don't think they've got the votes to table it, or to post, or may ask to have that item held until later in the meeting. It'll be interesting to see how that gets handled. The new council people, I think, it'll be interesting to see how they behave. The rumor was when they got elected is that they were going to be lockstep in line with the mayor. And it'll be interesting to see if they're actually willing to join this other group and say, let's get the city's business done first.
Right.
And then we'll deal with this issue.
So the 3 that got up were Henry Nickel, which is Ward 7, right?
No, Nickel is 4th Ward. No.
5th Ward?
5th Ward. Yeah, 5th Ward.
Okay, so I don't remember the ward numbers. Forgive me. So it's Henry Nickel, Jim Mulvihill, and Fred Charette. And so they got up and then at the last meeting because of this, and because they wanted to make sure that they did not have a quorum, so they could not even take the vote.
Yeah.
So
the other thing that's weird about this is the meetings are being called on these are like special meetings, so they're not the usual Wednesday meetings. This one's of course on a Monday. Last one was on a Wednesday, but it wasn't their traditional Wednesday. So it's odd that he's calling these sort of special meetings to try to do this stuff. All of that reeks of sort of a kind of a game playing as well,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
I'm not confident, and San Bernardino has a long history of engaging in shenanigans at the dais, so we'll see what happens.
Yes, I agree.
So did anybody watch the Grammys last night?
I saw the headlines about the woman who wore the Make America Great dress with the barbed wire on it, and everyone upset about that. I saw the headline that Michelle Obama was on stage or came out, and they did like a tribute to women, and that everyone was excited about the way she entered, and that it was exciting.
Well, she's a celebrity.
She is a celebrity.
Cardi B apparently won her first Grammy, and she made history as the first woman to win Best Rap Album. I am not a fan at all.
No.
Not even a little bit. And it's so funny because they have listen to these names. I'm officially old, I guess, because I don't know any of these people. Mac Miller, and he's apparently the late Mac Miller, Nipsey Hussle, Pusha T, and Travis Scott.
Okay.
Okay. So Cardi B was just the 5th woman ever nominated in the category that was created in 1995. Lauryn Hill was part of the Fugees when the group won in 1997 for the score. And I actually really like Lauryn Hill. Miseducation of Lauryn Hill was a great album back in the 90s. Holding the trophy in her white-gloved hands, Cardi B thanked Offset, calling him you husband, and their daughter, who was born 7 months to the date. Cardi B twerked on a piano during her performance earlier in the show. So classy. She kept it classy by twerking on a piano. All right, so
but Aaron, she did it 7 months after having a baby. That says something.
Yeah, okay. So record of the year was This Is America by Childish Gambino. And I have to say, the video was, I like music that says something besides let's get down. I like music that has something to say, and his music does.
Yeah, but I don't remember anything about the song. I remember the video, right? And I remember the political messaging of it. But there's nothing about the tune of that song where I'm like walking around whistling it or saying I want to listen to that over again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so for him to win, this was just purely a political statement.
So best song of the year was This Is America. Best music video of this year was This Is America by Childish Gambino. The best new artist is Dua Lipa. Best pop vocal album, Sweetener by Ariana Grande, and she's still the Pop-Tart du jour.
And she wasn't there, though, I think, right?
No.
She because of some thing that happened, someone said something unkind about her, so she did not come.
So best R&B album is H.E.R. by H.E.R. Producer of the year, non-classical, is Pharrell. Best traditional pop vocal album, Willie Nelson's My Way. Best rock album, From the Fires by Greta Van Fleet. And best alternative music album, Colors, Beck. Now, Beck is wicked talented.
Yeah.
He really is.
Now, didn't the song "Shallow" from the movie A Star Is Born win something too? I thought I saw something about that.
Yeah, they probably did.
Yeah.
So I need to pull up the full win. You can tell us we're really into the Grammys. Okay, we got to cover the Grammys.
We
don't even care.
No.
And because these dumb award shows have become so political.
Yes.
And it's like, come on, stop. I don't go to the NBC Nightly News to hear about what's going on in music. I don't want to turn on to you guys and have you talk to me about politics. You do what you're good at. They'll do what they're good at, right? I don't want to listen to you preach at me.
Yes.
Politics has permeated everything.
Yeah, and it's taken the joy out of a lot of stuff. I shared a clip the other day. It was an old clip of Johnny Carson talking about why he doesn't get engaged in politics and political humor. And he basically said that that's why people turn to comedy shows, and that he follows sort of the tradition of a lot of the greats that came before him, is that this is meant to be an escape, and he doesn't want to do that, and that comedians who do that would get an overriding sense of their own self-importance, and he thinks that that's just wrong. That in order to be a good comedian, you have to sort of eschew that and stay away from that.
You mean artists will get an oversized opinion of themselves? Well, that is exactly what's happened.
Yeah. And in fact, all of the quote-unquote late-night comedians now really sort of turn me off because of their political humor.
And they're not even funny.
No, they're not. It's just insults.
It's I am all for making fun. So there was this Saturday Night Live when they did against Obama's executive actions.
Mm-hmm.
They did the "I'm just a bill." Did you remember that?
I do.
And it was so hilarious. And it wasn't slamming Obama as a person. It was talking about this approach of having to do executive orders. And anyway, if you go back and find it, it's hilarious. And we are out of time. I just looked at the clock.
Ooh.
I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.